everyone. I'm Pedro Lima. I'm film critic for KeithLovesMovies, and today I'm with Bess Kargman to talk about her latest film, Diane Warren, Relentless. So first, thank you so much for having me, Bess.
No, thank you for
And
having me.
and I want to first ask you, how was the process of capturing over 41 years of career in an hour and 25 minutes? How was this process of condensing and uh, making sure what were you going to like approach on the film?
That's a great question. So we almost had three versions of the film, which is not uncommon with the movies that I make. You kind of have to go, you know, far this way, far that way to get to here, right? So, when you're editing a film, it's obviously always too long in the beginning, and then you have to start to take things out that to see if you miss them. So we had profiled stories behind a lot more songs. I mean, wonderful stories about Whitney Houston collaborations, other movies, so many good things. And there's no one wants to sit through a 4-hour documentary. They just don't.
Yeah.
So as a director, you really have to not be greedy, and they call it kill your babies, and get rid of it. And then you watch it again and you see if you miss it. So there are wonderful songs we just didn't have time to tell stories about. The ones we, chose to tell stories about usually represented other things, like revealed interesting stories, I never just wanted a movie that's like behind the music,
Or the great
it had to
hits.
be much more complex, right?
Yeah. So you mentioned now the editing process of the film. And something that I noticed while I was watching it is that the film has a very pure comic presence of Diane. Like she's a very funny person. And I would like to know, is it something that you noticed when you were filming? Or it is something that when you were editing and watching over and over again that footage, you notice like, oh, there are a lot of jokes here that I can use to break these tense moments. There are a lot of tense moments and conversations about like arguments. Was it something that you noticed filming or editing?
Sure. So Diane didn't have final cut over the film. So that means that the
Mhm.
film isn't her, the conclusion of the film, the way the film is shaped, it's not hers to weigh in on, right? Or
Yeah.
control. However, she made me promise her just one thing, which is make it funny, make me funny. And I said to her I was going to do that regardless
And
of
you
you
did.
asking me, because you are funny and my job is to be accurate and to portray your life. So she didn't even need to ask me. She was funny since the minute I met her. I really think it's so fun and refreshing to see a music documentary about a woman that has you in hysterics sometimes. I love films that actually take you on this emotional roller coaster where you're laughing and laughing and then you're like, oh my God, I'm about to cry. And then you're laughing and laughing and then you're, pensive and scared and surprised and then laughing again and then crying. So that was the goal of the film, to make it very nuanced and complex and to give you all these emotions that, I as the director also felt while filming.
Yeah, it's something that I wouldn't say surprised, but I was very pleased while I was watching because you read interviews, her interviews, you watch her like at the Oscars or before it, and sometimes you forget that she's such a funny personality. And yeah, you did what you promised to her because she's very funny here. And now I mentioned like the Oscars, so I feel like the Oscars are almost an inherent topic when we are talking about her. Like she has 15 nominations and all this narrative that is very rich and complex, and you talk about it in your film. And especially you talk about the 2020 ceremony, that is the nomination uh for uh for Good Days. And how was to follow the ceremony? How was to follow her through the nominations and in the day of the award show?
That's a great question. So what's interesting is I've been around Diane for actually 4 Oscar nominations. We
Yeah.
filmed 3 of those. Actually, I think I even with my own camera filmed the 4th. So we've seen her lose many times. In an old version of the film, we showed her not get her nomination many times, over and over. And then we realized you don't need it. You know, the audience gets it. So we just showed one time, um, both her winning the nomination and then not winning. Well, we showed a few times her not winning the award,
Yeah.
but we didn't want it to be a focus of the film. That's why we took out other years. But we were always at those sleepless slumber parties with her throughout the years of, of filming her. We just wanted sort of that one moment to represent every time she's nominated.
Like the whole history of the whole like folkloric it became folkloric, and I think it's very interesting. And also I love to know about the slumber parties. It was something that I told my friends, like, oh, do you know like Diane Warren does a slumber party every year? And it was so fun to discover that. And lastly, Bess, I want to ask you a very tough question and also a personal one. What is your favorite Diane Warren song?
Diane hates getting asked that. She won't even answer it. And
Yeah,
she absolutely hates being asked who's the one artist that you haven't worked with that you're dying to work with. Those 2 questions drive her bananas. Oy, having to pick a Diane. Okay, actually, this is not an answer which will please everyone, but my favorite Diane Warren song ever hasn't come out yet.
oh, mm. So I won't ask you which one is. I know she has a song coming really soon, but yeah. So maybe I will ask you again in the future and you confirm if is this one, which is coming like really soon next month, actually. And so yeah. So it's great to hear that she has another great one coming. Like personally, my favorite one is the Paloma Faith one is Love Can Hurt, like only a Love Can Hurt,
Uh-huh,
like,
uh-huh.
which I
That's
didn't know
a
it was
beautiful song.
hers. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know it was hers. And I watched the film and I said, "Oh, I love this song. I love this
yeah.
one." And it is Diane. It makes sense. It's a beautiful ballad. So thank you so much for talking to me about Diane and Relentless. The film is showing DOC NYC on November 18th and 19th in New York, but is also available in the virtual part of the virtual portion of the festival. So if you're not in New York this time, make sure to watch it. And it is also launching theaters on January 10th, 2025, and streaming on Masterclass on January 16th, 2025. So don't miss it. Again, thank you so much, Baz, for talking to me. It was
Thank
a pleasure.
you.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
that's it. Thank you.